Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. This is not the Old Cookbook Show, but I'm going to do a recipe out of a medium old cookbook. This was sent in by a viewer, thank you very much. It's called Fat Back and Molasses, a collection of favorite old recipes from Newfoundland and Labrador. This one was printed in 1974. It is still in print today. Julie and I were in Newfoundland this past week, you could still find this on bookstore shelves. And it is a collection of old-time Newfoundland recipes, and it also shows multiple versions of the same recipe. One of the things I love to eat while I'm out in Newfoundland is a molasses bun. I love the variety of molasses bun. Some have raisins, some don't, some have currants, some don't, some have spices, some don't, some have fat pork, salt back, all of those things. And it's very, every little cove has a different version, which I think is wonderful. Today we're going to do one that is a little on the spiced side, doesn't have any fat back or salt pork, and it doesn't have any raisins. So first into this jug is some brown sugar, and then some butter, and then molasses. So the history of Newfoundland is tied to fish, and then as a byproduct of fish is molasses through trade. And you find molasses in so much Newfoundland cooking. Now, I need a half a cup of boiling water, so straight out of the kettle here. And just use that hot water to get the last of the molasses out. And in that goes. And we'll give that a good stir. So of course, what you're hoping for with the boiling hot water is to melt the butter and thin out the molasses a little bit so that it becomes one thing. If your boiling hot water from your kettle doesn't melt all your butter, you can stick it in the microwave, give it a 30, 40 seconds, whatever, to melt the butter in. I've seen a lot of recipes for molasses buns that this first step is done in a pot on the stovetop. Totally fine as well. I think this version with the hot water from the kettle is really just to cut down on the number of dishes that you have to do. So next in is the spicing. So for us today, we're going to use ginger, ground clove, and ground allspice or Jamaican pepper, depending on which cookbook you read. We'll mix that in. And we'll start to mix in the flour. So if you are from Newfoundland, I would love for you down in the comments to tell me about your family history with this bun. What are your memories, or what does your family do today? What spicing do you use? Do you put in raisins or not raisins? What's the method that you use? I've got so many cookbooks, but one of the places I'm really lacking cookbooks is from Eastern Canada, and Newfoundland in particular. This is the only cookbook that I have from Newfoundland. And I don't have much historical reference for this bun. My feeling is that this existed before baking soda. And we're going to get to the baking soda in a second. And therefore, it would have been either unleavened or leavened with yeast. But I don't know which one of those two things is true. And I'm searching now for a lot more history on this particular recipe. Now the baking soda. Okay, so this recipe tells me 20 minutes in the fridge before we shape them. So, 20 minutes in the fridge. Okay, so it's time to shape them. I'm going to put a little bit of flour out on the bench, and then we'll get our dough out here. far as shaping these goes, I've seen it done a bunch of different ways. I've seen it just put in a cake tin and then sliced, and you get a square slice like you would a piece of cake. I've seen them put in a bread tin and then slices taken off like banana bread or any other kind of bread. I've seen them hand formed into rolls like a dinner roll and cooked on a pan like this. I've seen them cut out like biscuits like I'm going to do. Really, I think the shaping is up to what you saw your grandmother do when you were a child. So I'm going to do them this way because some of the best ones I've had lately were cut like this. The trimmings, just bring them together and we'll roll them out again. And you can just do that until you've gone through all of the dough. Get them all up right close and touching and into the oven. 350, and I'll come back in about 15 minutes and take a look at them. Okay, Jules.
Hey, friends. Hey, Glen. What do you got?
Molasses bun.
Oh, hurrah! Were you
Lassie
inspired
bun?
by our recent
I was.
her recent exploration of Newfoundland and icebergs?
I was.
We
So,
did have a lot of things with molasses in it.
so this is one interpretation. I mean, there's so many interpretations. If I've learned anything in my years of doing this is that there is no definitive recipe ever for anything.
There we go.
I'm going to try it without. I'm going to try it without,
Okay.
and then I'm going to try it with. Yeah.
Oh, nice molasses bun.
It's got a bit of chew. It's got some great flavor. Molasses. Exactly what
I
it's...
mean, don't you just end it on that? Molasses.
Molasses.
What else do we need to say? That's really good.
So we had some great meals in Newfoundland.
Oh, many great meals.
Saw lots of icebergs.
Yes, which was why we went, so that's good.
No whales. If you follow,
no whale.
if you followed along with our flight last summer, we flew all the way out to Newfoundland, flying over the water. No whales. Again this year, no whales.
No
we
whales.
eventually have to go back and get whales.
There you go. Another reason to go back. Yeah, this is a bit...
Okay.
You can just keep snacking on this all day.
So let me know down below, if you're from Newfoundland, how your family makes molasses buns.
Everyone's going to make it a little bit differently.
Which spices you use, whether you don't use spices maybe at all. Do you put in raisins? Do you put in currants? Do you put in dates? Do you put in all three? Do you put in none? Do you bake it in a loaf? Do you bake it in a cake? Do you bake it as buns?
So many choices.
You know, and if you're up along, let us know how you do it where you now live and what changes you've made since you've left Newfoundland.
That's a lot to say. We look forward to hearing from you.
And if you're staying at home this summer, explore Newfoundland. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around to the end. Thanks for watching to the very end of the video, and thanks for watching this next little bit. Once again, in 2025, I am raising money for Hope Air and participating in the Give Hope Wings flight across Canada that both raises funds for the Hope Air charity, but also raises awareness in the various communities that we stop in and in the wider community through you, that this service exists and that this needs to be met. Hope Air is a charity that allows Canadians who need healthcare that is not available in their community to travel to the larger cities in Canada where that need can be met. Canada geographically is a massive country, and some communities are pretty far flung, and people end up having to drive 12, 14 hours to get to where the treatment exists that they need. And while healthcare in Canada is universal. Any Canadian shows up at the door of the hospital, care is freely given. You have to get to the hospital, or you have to get where the treatment is administered. And for a lot of people, this can be a very difficult time in their life. They're juggling a lot of things. They may not have the financial resources to fly to Toronto and put themselves up in a hotel room for a couple of nights and meals and so on and so forth. And Hope Air is a charity that takes care of that, takes that burden away, takes that weight off of people's shoulders, and allows them to just get well. So my part in this is to raise awareness and to raise money. I work with other pilots who fly some of these people who are seeking treatment from smaller flying communities to larger centers like Thunder Bay, where they can get a commercial airliner that will take them to Toronto or Winnipeg, so on and so forth. And over the last couple of years, we've raised a lot of money for Hope Air. Last year alone, you donated around $40,000 to help out with this cause. I'm very grateful for that. I feel very blessed that we have created a community here on YouTube, amongst everything else that's going on in the world, where we can help people. So once again, I'm doing this. Once again, we're flying. I will be putting the itinerary down in the description box of the places we're going to be in early June, where you can stop in and we can meet. Also links to Hope Air Charity so that you can check them out, see what they do. And if you're moved to help, there will be a link to the fundraising page. For everyone who has given in the past, I thank you enormously. And everyone who is about to give, thank you.